Multi-platinum selling and multi-award winning South African artist Holly Rey has partnered with a doll brand to raise awareness about diabetes. The singer, who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 11, has been in and out of hospital since December after experiencing kidney failure, anemia and high blood pressure. Holly has been candid about her journey since undergoing surgery. There are an estimated between 4.3 million and 5.6 million South Africans living with diabetes. And to talk more about this doll that has type 1 diabetes and how it actually works, we're joined by none other than Holly Rey. Holly, very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for...
I mean, this is truly an inspirational story. I mean, you've been very open about your journey with type 1 diabetes since your diagnosis at age 11. And just looking back now, Holly, what has been the most difficult part of growing up with this condition, especially during your teenage years and early music career?
I think definitely all the stigmas around diabetes. That's what's really difficult, is having to live through all these misconceptions that people have about diabetes. And constantly having to educate people. There are millions of South Africans living with diabetes. In fact, type 1 and type 2 diabetes is the second biggest killer in South Africa, yet no one knows about it. No one is talking about it. So I think constantly having to fight those stigmas and those stereotypes has definitely been the most difficult part of growing up as a diabetic.
And I would imagine, I mean, but the fact that you managed to stay resilient through these intense hospitalizations and your recovery after surgery. And I do understand that you've recently faced serious health complications, including kidney failure, anemia and high blood pressure. How have these recent challenges shifted your outlook on life, your outlook on your own health holistically and your purpose as an artist?
I think that, I've always been a very healthy person. Despite the misconceptions that diabetics are healthy, we're actually some of the healthiest people, type 1 diabetics in particular. We live very healthy lifestyles. So I've always taken my health very seriously, and I think that's why all my health sort of struggles this year have come as a big shock to me.
Yeah.
I never expected it to be in this position, struggling with kidney failure at such a young age. But I think it's also just been a reminder of the importance that I have and the role I need to play as a type 1 diabetic in sort of the limelight in the entertainment industry, someone who has a voice, and the importance of me using that voice to make a difference for other diabetics, not just in our country, but globally.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want us to talk to us about how this partnership with the Barbie fashionista type 1 diabetes doll came about. What did it mean for you when you first heard about it? And I would imagine when a child sees a doll like this on the shelves, I mean, the hope a young child living with type 1 diabetes will feel or think when they see themselves reflected in this doll.
I think that this is such a reminder of how important representation is. For any group that is marginalized. Yeah. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 11 years old. And I was excluded from a lot of activities because of it. I wasn't invited to birthday parties. I couldn't play sport. I was left out of a lot of things. And I actually found solace or comfort in playing with my Barbie dolls. So I think, if there was a Barbie that looked like me and was experiencing what I was going through, I think I would have felt a lot more seen. And I think it would have made my journey as a diabetic a lot easier. I think friends, family members, mothers of friends would have really looked at diabetes as not a disability, as not something that makes me different, but actually something that makes me special and unique. Yeah. And I would hope that it really means that diabetic children are celebrated a little bit more rather than ostracized.
That is true. And I want us to talk about, representation in toys and how that is often underestimated. So how do you think this doll can sort of help change perceptions and stigma around diabetes, especially among children and parents?
Well, I mean, there's been some amazing studies that have been done by Mattel, actually, who are manufacturers of toys, on the importance of toy play in children and how much we learn from the toys we play with as children. So I think that representation amongst toys really means at the toys they're playing with and going, oh, this Barbie represents diabetes. There's one that represents Down syndrome. We start to learn empathy as children. We start to understand that the people can be different, but special. And I think that we start to learn that from a very young age. We start to learn that as children. And that's why doll play, toy play is really within toys, because that's when children are really starting to experience the world and learn about the world.
Now, Holly, has your experience with diabetes influenced your songwriting or your creative process in any way? I mean, are there any particular songs or lyrics that carry those hidden meanings?
I think that my journey in the entertainment industry has been very, I think, touched by my diabetes journey. There's a lot of songs I have. I have a song called Fire that really is just about resilience. And although it kind of applies to any situation, I think that for me, that song was about finding resilience in the struggles I was facing from a health perspective. And I do think just being a diabetic makes me a lot healthier as an artist. And also gives me the platform to educate people about how important health is.
Yeah. And you've often spoken about using your platform to raise awareness. How then do you balance being vulnerable about your health with keeping aspects of your life private and protected?
I think, I'm very honest about my health journeys. I don't hide anything, because I think people need to realize that it is real and it is raw. I've gone live from a hospital bed. I've gone live, no makeup, no hair, just as me. Because I think when we glamorize health, sometimes people feel like it's unrealistic. They feel like, oh, well, if Holly Rey has diabetes, but she's always perfect and everything's always great, then I must be failing as a diabetic. So it's very important for me to show that it's not always glamorous. It's not always perfect. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. Because there is a big mental health aspect that goes into anyone that's living with a chronic illness. And I try to be as real and honest as I can be with people so that they know that they're not alone in whatever they're facing and whatever struggles they're facing with their health or their mental health as a result of it.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that you also raise the element of, the mental health element associated with diabetes. I mean, I mentioned in my intro that about 4 to 5 million South Africans are currently living with diabetes. So from your perspective, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions about diabetes in general?
I think, one of the big things people don't understand is that there are different types of diabetes. You have type 1 diabetes, you have type 2 diabetes, which is a lot more common. You have gestational diabetes, which is when women are pregnant. And you can get diabetes at any age. Diabetes is not for older people. Diabetes is not for overweight people. You don't get diabetes from eating too much sugar. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, which means that if you're going to get it, you're going to get it. There's no sort of lifestyle choices that lead to you getting type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, on the other case, is more linked to lifestyle, and it can be prevented. And it can be prevented by simply going to your doctor, asking your doctor to do a simple finger prick, and they can test if you're pre-diabetic, going into being type 2 diabetic, or if you already have diabetes. And you can really turn it around quite easily. And I think that's the biggest misconception. A lot of people are scared of diabetes. They're scared to get diagnosed. But the earlier you catch it, especially with type 2, the easier it is going to make your lifestyle. So I would just recommend that anyone goes out, ask your doctor to do a simple finger prick. It takes 2 seconds just to prick your finger, test your blood glucose levels, and you can live a really, really healthy life if you catch it early.
All right, Holly, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, man, for being a positive beacon of hope for so many people, especially young children living with diabetes, and for making it, known that it is okay not to be okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and keep up the positive spirit.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, multi-platinum selling and multi-award winning South African artist Holly Rey has partnered with the doll brand to raise awareness about diabetes. Now, this is a very, I would say, significant innovation, especially for young people living with diabetes who may be struggling with self-acceptance or even fear about their future. And as I mentioned earlier on, there's about 4.3 million to 5.6 million South Africans living with diabetes. And Holly has spoken out about using her platform to raise awareness.